Let's be real. For years, Will and Jada Pinkett Smith have been a whirlwind of headlines. But now, with Jada's new memoir, Worthy, it's hit a whole new level. So in this explainer, we're going to try to get beyond all that clickbait. We'll unpack the conflicting stories, using their own words, and take a look at how it's all being interpreted. You know, this quote from the critic Benoit Lelièvre just nails it, doesn't it? No one reads articles about celebrities with great attention, and everyone will draw conclusions from a punchy, well-crafted headline. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. It's this headline effect that shapes everything we think we know about Will and Jada.
And yeah, the Smiths are basically the poster children for this effect. I mean, from the entanglement to the slap, their entire relationship has played out in these short, punchy, and honestly super confusing sound bites. So our goal here is to try and get behind all of that. All right, first up, let's tackle the biggest bombshell, the idea that they've been separated since 2016.
7 years. Jada dropped the bomb that she and Will have been living, in her words, completely separate lives since 2016. Now just think about that for a second. That means at the 2022 Oscars, when the whole slap incident went down, they weren't even really a couple in the way we all thought. And that pretty much shocked everybody.
But here's where it gets complicated. What does separated actually mean to them? Jada is super direct about it. We were separated. Simple as that. But Will, in his own book, describes it a little more poetically. He talks about them looking for happiness on our own paths. It really makes you wonder, are they even talking about the same thing? And that right there might be the root of the whole problem. A critic from the blog Dead End Follies points out that it's not even clear if Will and Jada had the same definition of their own separation. And if they weren't on the same page, well, it's no wonder the rest of us are so confused. Okay, so let's move on. Section 2, Jada's story, a critic's questions. Because her memoir is about way more than the separation. It's really her trying to take back her own story, but it's also raising a bunch of new questions. And she really doesn't hold back. She opens up about selling crack cocaine as a kid in Baltimore, her really deep friendship with Tupac Shakur, who, get this, actually proposed to her from prison. And she gets very real about a long and painful battle with severe depression and even suicidal thoughts. So what changed for her? She says a huge turning point came after she used ayahuasca, the plant-based psychedelic. Jada says that right after her first time, the suicidal thoughts completely went away. She credits it with completely changing her relationship with herself. But not everyone is taking her story at face value. That same critic from Dead End Follies brings up an interesting question. They point out that Jada also writes about having support from family and getting into art school. So if she had all that going for her, why sell drugs? To some, it seems like a contradiction. Well, Jada has an answer for that. For her, it was all about control and independence. She explains that her mom was struggling with addiction, and she felt this urgent need to make her own money so she could take care of herself. She says it wasn't about using the drugs, it was about getting the money to be independent. Which brings us to Section 3, and the thing everyone is most fascinated by, the marriage itself. There are some really different ideas out there about what their struggles are all about. The Dead End Follies analysis has one central theory, that Jada feels totally disempowered by Will's massive success. The argument is that his fame is just so huge that it created this power imbalance in the relationship, leaving her feeling like she was just sort of riding his coattails. And what's wild is Will's own words seem to back this up. He tells this story in his book about throwing Jada a huge birthday party that was really more about his ego than what she wanted. He even admits it made her feel like just an accessory to his life. So it sounds like they're both describing a very similar feeling just from their own perspectives. So with all of this out in the open, where do they go from here? Section 4, an uncertain future. What's next for Will and Jada? And you could not find two more different answers. On one side, you have the critic from Dead End Follies who is completely blunt, saying they should abso-fucking-lutely divorce because they just seem to make each other miserable. But then you have Jada, who says they still have a deep love for each other, and they're going to figure out what that looks like for them now. So it all kind of boils down to this last question, right? After all the headlines, the books, the public confessions, their private life has basically become a public story that we all consume. And when that happens, who really gets to write the ending?